So how do you make studying fun again? For some reason, as we got older, we started to see studying more of a chore rather than something fun to do. Now, every time we study, we end up boring our minds to the point where we'd rather be doing anything else. But what if I told you that studying can be fun? Well, in this video, I'll be teaching you how you can make studying fun again so that you'll always find yourself wanting to study. Now, before we answer, I think it's best to explain why we find studying boring and painful in the first place. First of all, the act of studying itself, if you look objectively, is not the most exciting activity in the world, and it's for good reason. Compared to other activities like browsing social media or playing games, which are activities that release dopamine, studying doesn't really release that much dopamine as compared to those other activities I just mentioned. Hence why when you think about studying, you don't really find yourself excited. I've been with a lot of studious people in my life, and every time I hang out with them, the last thing we want to do is to study. And you could say that school is a big culprit to why we don't feel like studying, why studying is not enjoyable anymore. So if studying is generally a boring activity, how do we make it fun again? Step 1, gamify your studying. So what do I mean by gamifying your study? Well, the first thing you'll have to look is that games are fun. And we have to take a look at what makes a game so appealing. Why are games fun? Well, I call it the reward progression grind, or RPG for short. Now, the thing is, whenever we do something in our life, it costs us energy to do it, and typically the more energy a task requires, if it's not more enjoyable, the less attractive the task becomes. And it becomes somewhat of a system where we exchange energy and the task gives us accomplishment in return. For example, working out takes a lot of energy, however, the reward of accomplishment is big. And you can even argue that the sense of putting this amount of effort is tantamount to the reward you get in return. Now, the problem is, studying does not only require some input of energy, but it's also not a smooth learning process. Studying itself is not very intuitive. When you're diving into new material, it's normal to feel a bit lost and overwhelmed. Now, let's look at video games in comparison. They don't require any energy at all, and yet video games give you a sense of accomplishment. Whether that be finishing a quest line, defeating a boss, winning an online match, video games gives us a sense of direction and achievement. And not only that, the other reason why video games are so appealing is that it gives you a sense of progress. Easy progress. You know how your character starts off as level 0 and basically being weak as fuck, but as you progress throughout the game, doing quests, killing monsters, collecting items, you end up being really strong. And it's this exact combination of the low input of energy and the feeling of achievement that makes video games so fun. These factors are what make video games a great way to disconnect from reality. It's the fact that you could overcome challenges and to see your progress in the game. So why am I saying this? Well, we can apply that to studying. Now, studying itself can be seen one-dimensional and not very benefactory. However, if studying had an incentive such as a reward, studying won't seem that boring anymore. And imagine if studying had a leveling up system, you would be grinding your ass up. So, how do we do that? Step 2, reward system. Now, in order to start gamifying your studies, first you will need a reward system. Now, what exactly is a reward system? Well, essentially, what are the kind of rewards are you given for the amount of work you've done? For example, if I study 3 hours a day, I can allow myself to play video games for an hour. By that logic, 3 hours of studying equals 1 hour of video games. Essentially, by creating your own reward system, you are creating your own currency. And it doesn't even have to be tied to the hours you study. You can tie the rewards based on the number of tasks or how well you studied a certain subject. As long as you have the exchange rate of the work that you have to do and the reward you get, will be the start of your task reward system. And the benefit of having a task reward system is that it really balances your work and leisure time. And it's this exchange system that will push you forward to finishing your tasks because you can exchange your points to earn rewards. Think about it, if you don't have a reward system, you might end up splurging on your leisure time when you haven't really studied that much in the first place. Having a task reward system will make sure that you've earned your leisure time fair and square. It balances your leisure and study time. And it doesn't even have to be strict. If you want to challenge yourself, have a set amount of leisure time given to you for a certain amount of study done. For example, my current metric for work is the amount of Pomodoro timers I finish. For every 3 Pomodoro timers I accomplish, I reward myself with 1 hour of gaming. However, you could also tell yourself that after X amount of studying, you allow yourself a free time for the rest of the day. For example, let's say finishing 5 Pomodoro timers will allow you to spend leisure time for the rest of the day. Make sure to write this somewhere so you don't have to forget it, and make sure you can easily access it too. You can literally do this on your Notes app, or if you want, you can put this on your Excel sheet, but if you're tryhard like me, you can even design your own Notion page. You can check the template down in the link in the description. I made that, by the way. Or you could even use to-do apps, which leads me to our sponsor for today's video, AccuFlow, the all-in-one planner app. If you guys don't know, AccuFlow is a really great all-in-one to-do calendar app, and I've been using this for the past year and it's been great. It's essentially a to-do list and a calendar app integrated into one, and you could have all of the integrations that you want, such as Notion, Google Calendar, TickTick, Microsoft To Do, the list goes on and on. So you could edit your calendar straight from AccuFlow. What I also love about AccuFlow is their to-do list system. Essentially, you could have different projects and different tags, and you can even have different hierarchies for those tasks, basically using the Eisenhower matrix principle. And AccuFlow actually had a recent update where you could have weekly rituals and goals. Instead of shutting down and planning for a day, you can actually shut down and plan for the whole week. And their new update even includes a rating where you could rate the day depending on how you felt. And if you want to customize AccuFlow even more, you can even plan your shutdown to a specific time. And if you need help, you can go to their Slack community and you could ask for help there. So head down to the link in the description to get AccuFlow. I've been really enjoying their app so far and I really highly recommend it. Thank you again AccuFlow for sponsoring today's video, and back to the tips. If you want to go further, you could even have your own currency as well. I created a Notion page that allows you to accomplish certain habits and tasks in exchange for coins, and you could use these coins to buy items in the shop that allow you to do certain things. However, this will only work if you really follow the system strictly. You have to treat it like you're really in the system so that you're incentivized to study even more. Step 3 is the level mindset. The next step I want you to have is to switch to a growth mindset or a level up mindset. I want to take this time to remind you that you've come all this way, learning all different subjects and leveling yourself up. And that to me is already an achievement, and I think a lot of people don't really realize that. If you're watching this, I'm sure you've come a long way, and instead of thinking that you're behind, instead think about how much progress you've made. Think of it as you leveling up. Every time you study or dive into new topics, think of it as going through unexplored territory or unexplored quests. And every time you've overcome a certain topic or an assignment, you level up. And the more difficult a topic is, the more XP you gained. It's quite easy to be demotivated with studying since it's not really the easiest process in the first place. When studying a topic, you're quite literally diving into something of the unknown. So instead of seeing the difficulty as an obstacle, see it more of a challenge to overcome. Learning new things and concepts are things that upgrade you as a human being, so whenever you study, think of it as improving yourself. Remember, the best mindset to have when tackling academics or life in general is a growth mindset. And finally, bonus tip is to change your study method. A reason to why your studying could be boring is that your studying method doesn't really accommodate actual learning. I'm not criticizing your study methods, however, there are certain study methods that end up being tedious rather than engaging to your brain. The process of learning itself is actually really fun. To learn and master new concepts, ideas, and information. I will be making a separate video over this, but in short, try to find study techniques that tie with the learning method. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys can take the tips I've mentioned in the video and to apply that to your own studying, and I hope you enjoy studying as well. Anyway, that's it from me. Don't forget to drink your water, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!